What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of TOPcast, your service management podcast. As you already know, we're focusing on future-proof service delivery this season. However, it's more important to understand where we have been before planning ahead. To share his thoughts today, we're going to hear from Tom Waring, a service center analyst from London Catholic District School Board and a TOPdesk customer. So welcome, Tom, to the podcast. And could you give us a little bit more information about yourself?
Yeah, hi. My name is Tom Waring. I work with London District Catholic School Board for almost 22 years. First 10 of that was in audiovisual, and the last 12 was service center.
Awesome. That's super cool. So you've definitely got plenty of experience to draw from here for sure. And, you may be wondering as a listener, what are we going to be talking about today? And why do we have Tom on this podcast? So basically what we thought we could talk about and hear firsthand is just how the service desk has evolved over the last year from a TOPdesk customer's perspective, and maybe share some insights for other TOPdesk customers or future TOPdesk customers, and how the tool can improve their service delivery as well. So Tom, I was hoping to, jump right into the topic here like we normally do on these podcasts. Could you walk me through like a brief summary of your journey with TOPdesk thus far? Maybe some successes or challenges that you've faced along the way?
Yeah, we've been with TOPdesk for almost 4 years now. The initial rollout, some of the bigger challenges were asset management and our knowledge base, getting that up to date and reliable. That's always an ongoing aspect of maintaining an ITSM tool. We put a lot of energy into our asset tagging, making sure that we had all of our equipment asset tagged and imported into TOPdesk so we could resolve that to tickets that were getting submitted and have them track that history. I guess a successful aspect of it was our portal. I'm pretty happy with our portal. We went from a single form collecting any and all types of requests, from very simple password resets all the way to moving a classroom or installing equipment or ordering equipment. And we now have a more complex portal where people get led to specific forms that we gather the information we need to complete the request. We also did a lot of work in our service request area. We have requests for ordering, reassigning, relocating equipment, making staff changes, and requesting software, which has been beneficial for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can imagine it's something that you're super proud of as well. So thanks for walking me through that. It definitely sets the scene for the rest of what we're going to talk about today. So obviously you've had a few years now of experience with TOPdesk, but I would say the last year has probably been the most challenging, or at least I'm hypothesizing has been the most challenging. So when the pandemic hit, I can imagine there was like a period of shock or difficulty for your team. Was there any area in particular that caused headaches for you guys?
Well, it's kind of funny because the first Monday of the week that we were about to go down into shutdown, I took the day off to stay home and make sure our renovations at my house started off okay. And later that day, I got the call that we were going to be working from home. So I spent the rest of the next 5 weeks working in the basement with walls being torn down above me, and my kitchen was all tore apart. So that was a little bit rough start for me personally.
Yeah, thank goodness we didn't try and record a podcast during that week.
Yeah, that would have been rough. So yeah, for challenges for our department, like the IT department, London Catholic, was the biggest thing I'd say was getting devices out to families that didn't have devices at home. That included Chromebooks, workstations, laptops in some cases, internet access devices. Not all the families had means to connect to the internet. So that was a big undertaking for the department to do. With Service Center, I'd say the biggest challenge with that at the immediate when we first went to working from home is we didn't have phones. People couldn't call us, and that's a pretty big part of our service as it is now. So we had to rely on work orders in the chat. With TOPdesk, it allowed us to create some custom requests based on what we need for now, what the current need for the day. So we put a sub-page up on our main page, virtual instruction, and we put requests there that were pretty common for things that were going on. Password resets for students and staff, report issues with the VLE, report issues with Teams, managing students that were moving from in-school to virtual. That came later, but that was something that ended up there. Also, I was able to monitor the most popular knowledge base articles that people were reading and post them in the portal. So it was one-stop place for pretty much everything you needed when we first started getting rolling with working from home. Another challenge I'd say would be the teachers learning to use Teams. We've had the product in our environment for a long time, but there's not really been any necessity for the teachers to get in depth with it and learn it. But as soon as we went to working from home, they had to revolve their entire day around it. Luckily, for the most part, I'd say the vast majority of the staff picked it up quick. And if they didn't, then shortly thereafter, we got them up and running. Passwords, that was another big issue, was the teachers would reset student passwords on domain. And when all the teachers were at home, that tool didn't work off domain. So the service center had to pick that up. I didn't realize how much of that was going on, to tell you the truth. I found out quick how much password resets were happening. So that was a big part of our day at first. I guess the biggest thing is the support, like how things shift, the support shift. The nature of the requests that we normally would get would be network issues, workstations, printing, Wi-Fi, school-based issues. But that quickly changed. That almost went away completely, and we had to replace it with requests for the VLE, Teams, just cloud-based services, working with OneDrive and different things that really took the place of what we no longer got as far as work orders coming in.
Yeah, for sure. And I can imagine too that, not only with the type of support you guys were giving for the different categories like you just mentioned, but also where people were expecting support from, right? So, phones, like you said, weren't necessarily available right away. So you probably had a lot of people who maybe weren't as familiar with the portal that you guys offer, having to get pretty familiar with it, right?
It helps, whenever you put somebody in a spot where they have less choices, you learn what you have to pretty quickly.
I was gonna say,
we've had our portal for a while, so that wasn't too bad. But I think there was definitely an uptake in people learning their way around and finding the requests that they needed. So that was a benefit for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. An area of support that it must be pretty challenging for school boards during this time is the scale of support required. So how did you go about supporting students' parents?
Well, prior to COVID, we only supported our own staff at the service center. Once we went into lockdown, we had to adapt and start supporting the parents and the students at home, and also our staff. And our staff always had the support, but now they're in a new environment needing support. So that was a little bit of a change as well. So we were home. Service center was running at home from March to mid-June. We turned on chat, TOPdesk chat, and that was a big help to us. The parents and students could log into chat and engage with our service center. And if we couldn't solve it within the chat, we could very quickly turn that into a call, and then we would put the call in the teacher's name so that we could follow up with the teacher and get that resolved for the child. When service center returned to work, we were able to offer the phones again. So we just posted a number for parents and teachers to call in, and we continued doing the same method of taking the call and logging a ticket and putting it in the teacher's name, and then working with the teacher to resolve the incident. Another big issue with that was I found that service center calls typically 2 to 5 minutes, maybe a little longer in some cases. But once we were supporting families at home, the calls went from really short to sometimes 30 minutes, 40 minutes, trying to help somebody navigate their way around an environment that they've never been in. So that was a trick.
Yeah, definitely. And I can imagine too, like, especially, it was kind of thrown in parents' laps in some way as well to try and figure out how some of the systems work. So it's good that you guys found a process for it, for sure.
Yeah.
Another question here. So were there any positives that came from the experiences of last year?
I guess some of the positives would be that people rely on familiar ways of doing things. And this last year, we forced staff to learn technology and integrate it into their day-to-day. I think that'll continue. Our parents had to be a little bit more involved in their child's education. I think a lot learned that they have full and immediate access to assessment and teacher feedback, which they might not have really realized was available to them at the before, but now that they were using it, they were seeing it. I think once we return to full-time class instruction, I think we'll be more more capable organization with our customers and us, like our IT department. I think we learned a lot, and I think we're going to come away stronger for sure.
Yeah, I kind of foresee that too for, your organization and a lot of organizations as well. Just being able to be flexible and know that you can do, you can deal with these sort of challenging adjustments that have been made. So that's pretty awesome as well. Given your experience and your experience with TOPdesk as well, could you share maybe some advice you have for fellow IT folks in the industry looking to improve their service delivery?
One of the big things that I've realized has been a benefit to us is we've started using closure codes in TOPdesk. So we've defined maybe 80 different items that we can use to categorize how we close things. Maybe it's, password reset, replace the lamp, restarted a server, different things like that. I think that's was a big bonus for us. And it helps categorizing at the end of what you've done when you have all the information. And that's a little bit stronger place to report from. And it makes it a little bit easier for you to categorize on the front end when you first get the ticket, when you're not basing it on symptoms.
I think that's definitely a good point. I guess final question for today, Tom. Where do you see the future of the service management industry transitioning to?
I think you'll see a lot more working from home. I think, IT people always knew it was possible, but we never really had to test it. I think we've all learned to make it more effective, or more effective than we thought it could be. In our school board, it's new for a service center to be providing support to our community directly, not as opposed to going through the schools. I hope we keep that up. Once the new normal comes around, I think that that'll be a big benefit for the students and the school board. I don't think it'll be too much additional work once things have settled down. And also, I think I've noticed a big uptake on our knowledge bases, our knowledge articles in TOPdesk. So I've seen a lot more of a bigger variety of items being used. I think people know it's there now and know how to navigate it and find the information they need. So I hope that continues as well.
Awesome. I think that's a great place to wrap this up for sure. So thanks again for tuning into our 4th episode of the season, and a big thanks to Tom for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to stay up to date on all things TOPcast, don't forget to sign up for our email updates at page.topdesk.com/TOPcast. We'll see you in a couple of weeks where we will be back with more service management content for you. In the meantime, stay safe, stay tuned, and most importantly, stay excellent. Take it easy, everybody.